The rain in Seoul doesn't fall softly tonight. It screams. It hits the asphalt in hard, merciless drops, bouncing off the street like shards of broken glass. Neon signs bleed red and blue onto the wet road, stretching colors into trembling reflections. And somewhere between those reflections, a woman is running barefoot. Her feet slap against the wet concrete, each step echoing her panic. Her breaths are sharp, broken, shallow. Her hands shake as they clutch at the thin, soaked fabric of her dress, the hem tearing against the rough ground. Her skin burns where fingers had dug into her arms only minutes ago. Her cheek is already swelling. Her lip dustes like iron. Behind her, a voice cuts through the storm. "Ja, get back here." His voice. Her husband. He is not calling her name. He is calling his property. Her heart stutters. She doesn't turn back. She can't. The African woman who once believed in love now runs like prey through a foreign city that never learned to pronounce her full name correctly. Tonight, Seoul is not beautiful. It is a maze she is desperate to escape. Her lungs burn, her vision blurs, but she keeps going. The screaming grows louder behind her. Not hers, his. "You think you can embarrass me like this? Hajima, stop right there." Her bare foot lands on something sharp, glass. Pain shoots up her leg. She stumbles, almost falls, her hand catching the edge of a wall to steady herself. The world tilts. A car horn blares somewhere far away. She pushes off the wall and keeps running. Another flash of lightning, another crash of thunder, another scream closer than before. She turns the corner into a wider road, the kind lined with expensive bars and dark-tinted windows. Gangnam sleeps in style even when it rains. Black cars pause outside private clubs. Umbrellas open like shields above rich men's heads. Her world, however, is vision narrowed by fear. Her husband's footsteps slap closer behind her. He is faster, taller. His shoes pound against the wet road. She doesn't have time to think, only to move. And then she slips. Her foot, still bleeding, slides across the slick surface. Her body flies forward. The world spins. She crashes onto the road, palms scraping against asphalt, rain soaking into her skin, her cry swallowed by thunder. Her hands sting, her knees throb, her hair sticks to her face. She tries to push herself up, but a hand reaches her first. Not a gentle hand. Fingers like iron clamp around her wrist and yank her backward. She gasps, her body dragged across the road, her shoulder screaming in protest. "You really thought you could run from me?" He spits, leaning over her. The alcohol on his breath mixes with the rain in the air. His Korean is slurred, angry, sharp. "You made me look like a fool in front of my friends, an African wife who doesn't know her place. You think anyone will help you here?" His grip tightens, pain shoots through her arm. "Please," she whispers, voice shaking. "Let me go." His answer is a harsh laugh. "No." He raises his hand. For a moment, time slows. Her eyes widen. Her body tenses, bracing for the impact. The rain hangs in the air like a curtain of glass. Headlights glow in the distance. Everything becomes blurred, except the terror in her own chest. And then, a sound cuts through the storm, tires screeching, a deep engine growling, a black SUV sliding into the scene like a predator. The car stops inches away from her husband's side. Its headlights flood the wet street in white light, catching the bruise blooming on her face, the blood on her foot, the wild rage in his eyes. For a heartbeat, nobody moves. The tinted window rolls down with an almost slow, bored calm. Her husband turns, disturbed. "Boya, what?" He doesn't finish, because the man inside that car looks at him the way a hunter looks at something already dead. Sharp jaw, black hair, wet at the edges, dark eyes that do not blink. His face is too composed, too quiet, too dangerous. When he finally speaks, his voice is low, controlled, chilling. "Touch her again." He pauses, eyes dropping to her wrist, bruised in that grip. "Then back up and breathe your last breath tonight." The husband freezes. The woman feels it, that shift in the air, the way the street itself seems to go silent. Even the rain feels like it is listening. Her heart kicks against her ribs. She doesn't know this man, but everyone else on the street does. One of the club's bouncers, who had been ignoring the scene a moment ago, suddenly straightens, eyes widening. A group of men smoking outside a bar look away instantly, their entire posture changing from lazy to tense. A waiter holding a tray slowly backs into the restaurant. Someone whispers near the doorway, "Yeah, it's him, the Korean Mafia Prince." Her husband swallows, tries to laugh. "Mind your own business, yeah, this is my wife." The man in the car tilts his head ever so slightly, like he's studying something fragile he might break. "Step away from her," he says quietly. There is no raised voice, no shouting, just power, the kind that makes the hairs on the back of her neck stand up. Her husband grips her wrist harder, as if to prove a point. "Who do you think you are?" The man in the SUV finally opens the door, black gloved hands, black coat, black boots hitting wet asphalt. He steps into the rain like it doesn't dare touch him. Water slides off his shoulders, off the expensive fabric of his coat. His eyes never leave her husband. To her, he looks unreal, like a character that walked out of a K-drama. If K-dramas were written by the Seoul Underworld itself. He walks closer. Each step is measured, calm, heavy with unspoken threats. Behind him, two more men get out of the SUV. One is broad-shouldered, clearly an underboss or enforcer. The other's sharp gaze scans the street for witnesses. "Hyung," the broader man murmurs, low enough that only those close can hear. "We don't need trouble here. Appa won't like." The prince lifts one hand slightly. The man falls silent immediately. The husband straightens, puffing his chest, trying to regain control. "Listen, you don't know anything about—" He doesn't finish, because in one smooth, frighteningly fast movement, the Mafia Prince is in front of him. A gloved hand wraps around the husband's throat and slams him back against the wall. The woman flinches, the husband chokes, legs scrambling for balance. The prince leans in, his voice still quiet, eyes empty of mercy. "This city," he murmurs, "belongs to my family. These streets, my men watch them. Every camera, every alley, every bridge. You dragged your wife, bleeding and crying through my territory." He tightens his grip. The husband gasps, face reddening. "You don't shout here." The prince finishes softly. "You don't hit here. Not my people. Not on my streets." "She's not your—" The husband croaks. The prince turns his head slightly, his gaze flickering toward her. For the first time, she feels his eyes on her directly. It's like being seen and scanned and judged all at once. Rain runs down her face, mixing with tears. Something in his expression shifts. Just a fraction, a small crack in the ice. Then he looks back at her husband, voice dropping to something even colder. "She is under my protection," he says plainly. Her breath catches. Her husband's eyes widen with fear. "What? You can't?" The prince leans closer, his words a whisper only meant for him. "Touch her again, and I promise you, your body will never be found in this city." The husband's legs stop kicking. For a moment, he stops resisting, the reality settling in. The underboss steps forward. "Say the word, Hyung. We can make him disappear tonight." The woman's eyes widen. "No." The prince's gaze flickers to her again at the sound of her voice. She clutches her arms around herself. "Please, no killing. Just let him go. I just want to leave." Her voice trembles, yet there is strength in it, a tired dignity, a heart that has been broken but still refuses to become cruel. He studies her for a long second. His grip loosens on the husband's throat. The man collapses to the ground, coughing, clutching his neck. The prince glances at the underboss. "Follow him. If he goes near her again, you know what to do." The underboss nods, expression hard. "Nay, Hyung." He jerks his head at another man lurking near the SUV. "Get the car ready, we're leaving." The prince turns to her. She tenses, fear slides up her spine. Her husband was danger, she knew. This man is danger she does not understand. He steps closer. She almost takes a step back, but something in his face stops her. Not kindness, not exactly. "Control. Can you stand?" he asks quietly. She nods automatically, wiping rain and tears from her face, trying to push herself up. But when she puts weight on her foot, pain explodes up her leg. She gasps, collapsing again. Without warning, he reaches down and slips one arm beneath her knees, another around her back. She stiffens, shocked, as he lifts her effortlessly off the ground. Her hands react before her brain does, clinging to the lapel of his coat. He carries her like she weighs nothing, like she is something he has already decided to take responsibility for. Her heart pounds against her ribs. "Sir, I can walk." "You're bleeding," he says, as if that explains everything. His tone is not gentle, but it is not harsh either. It is simply a statement that cannot be argued with. He carries her to the SUV and gently lowers her into the back seat. The leather is warm, the interior dim and expensive. It smells like leather and rain and something faintly smoky. Her gaze darts around, panic creeping back in. "Wait, I don't even know where you're taking me. I don't know you." He pauses, one hand resting on the edge of the door, his eyes meeting hers again in the dim light. "No," he agrees, "you don't know me." He leans in slightly. "But your husband does now." The way he says it makes a shiver crawl down her spine. His underboss slides into the front passenger seat, giving her a suspicious glance in the rearview mirror. The driver pulls the car away from the curb. As the SUV glides into Seoul's neon-soaked veins, her husband's figure grows smaller in the wet glass reflection, coughing in the rain, fear replacing his earlier rage. The woman looks back once, then the city swallows him. Her fingers won't stop shaking. She presses them into her palms, trying to anchor herself. Her foot still throbs. Her heart feels like it has been dropped into a different kind of danger. She escaped one monster, but the man sitting beside her now might be worse. He sits in the far corner of the back seat, body angled slightly toward her, watching her with that unreadable gaze. The car falls into silence, except for the hum of the engine and the rain beating against the windows. She dares to ask, voice quiet, "Why? Why did you help me?" He doesn't answer immediately. His jaw clenches, eyes flicking to the road, then back to her face. "It was my street," he says simply, "and I don't like seeing animals hurting what they own." Her heart flutters with confusion. "Own?" He tilts his head slightly. "This city. My father controls the Seoul underworld. I control the parts he ignores. Men like your husband think no one is watching. They're wrong." The words Seoul underworld wrap around her like a cold chain. She swallows. "So you're Mafia?" It doesn't blink. "I'm the one they send when someone forgets who really runs this place," he murmurs. "They call me the Korean Mafia Prince. You can call me G1. His name feels too gentle for the violence she saw in his eyes. She curls her toes, wincing from the pain in her foot. I don't want to be involved in mafia business. I just wanted to leave him." His gaze sharpens. "And if I hadn't driven down that road tonight?" Her throat tightens. She remembers his hand raised, the flash of rage, the promise in his eyes that if he caught her, she would not walk again. "I don't know," she admits softly. "Maybe I would be dead." G1 watches her for a long moment, then his voice drops, lower, almost to himself. "Exactly." She looks out the window, watching the city blur past. Gangnam's bright chaos gives way to quieter streets, then to darker ones she doesn't recognize. Fear creeps back in. "Where are you taking me?" she whispers. "One of our places," he says. "Safe house. Clinic. You need that foot looked at. And someone like you can't just go back home." Home. The word stings. "My home is a prison," she murmurs. His eyes flicker. For a moment, something like understanding crosses his face. "Not anymore," he says quietly. She hesitates, then speaks again. "You don't even know my name." He looks at her. "Then tell me." Her voice is small but clear. "Amara." He repeats it once under his breath. "Amara." In his accent, it sounds different. Softer, beautiful in a new way. He leans back in his seat, voice calm. "From now on, Amara, your husband is no longer your biggest problem." Her chest tightens, because the way he says it doesn't feel like a warning, it feels like a promise. The SUV eventually turns into an underground garage beneath a high-rise building near the river. The air is cooler here, smelling of oil and rain. G1 gets out first, then opens her door, offering his hand. She stares at it. Her heart is split. One side knows he is the dangerous protector who stepped between her and an abusive husband. The other side sees him as another man who holds too much power over her fate. She takes his hand anyway. As soon as her injured foot touches the ground, she falters. He grips her waist, steadying her. Heat spreads from his touch, even through the panic. "Careful," he mutters. The underboss approaches. "Hyung, are you sure about this? She's tied to a rival crew. They will come for her. This is trouble." Ji-won doesn't look away from Amara. "They can come," he says quietly. "I'm not hiding." The underboss clenches his jaw. "What should I tell Appa?" He finally glances back, eyes darkening briefly. Nothing yet. The elevator ride is silent. The floor numbers climb. Amara's reflection in the elevator wall looks like a stranger wet hair, bruised cheek, eyes red from tears and rain. She catches Ji-won's reflection behind her, tall, composed, eyes heavy with thoughts he never speaks. The doors open into a penthouse that looks more like a command center than a home. Floor-to-ceiling glass windows show Seoul stretched out like a galaxy of lights, river bridges glowing beneath the night sky. Potted plants soften the sharpness of black leather couches and steel structures. A long table is covered in papers, phones, and weapons hidden in two careful shadows. This is not a safe house. This is a throne room in the sky. Ji-won walks her toward a couch near the window. "Sit." It feels more like an order than an offer. She sits. A woman in her 30s rushes in from a connected room, wearing simple clothes and a white coat loosely thrown over her shoulders. "Oppa, what is this?" She scolds in Korean, then sees Amara's foot and face, and her tone softens instantly. "Omo, she's hurt." "This is Yoon-ji," Ji-won says. "Doctor, annoying, talks too much." Yoon-ji glares at him. "I'm the reason you're still alive, you ungrateful brat. Move." He actually steps aside. For the first time, Amara sees someone speak to him with no fear. It surprises her enough to relax a little. Yoon-ji kneels in front of her, voice turning gentle. "Hi, I'm going to check your foot and your head, okay? What's your name?" "Amara," she whispers. "Beautiful." Yoon-ji smiles softly. "You're safe here for now, I promise. Do you understand some Korean?" "A little," Amara nods. "But English is easier for me." "No problem." Yoon-ji switches without hesitation, her accent light. "I work with too many idiots who think fighting solves everything, so I picked up languages." She shoots a pointed look at Ji-won. He pretends not to notice, though the corner of his mouth almost twitches. Yoon-ji carefully cleans the cut on Amara's foot. Amara stiffens, fingers digging into the leather couch. Each touch sends a sting of pain through her body. Flinching, Yoon-ji murmurs under her breath, more to herself than anyone else. "Hypervigilance. Old bruising pattern. This isn't the first time he hit you, is it?" Amara's throat closes, her eyes blue again. Yoon-ji doesn't push. She just continues gently. "You don't have to answer. I can see enough." Ji-won stands a few steps back, arms crossed, gaze locked on Amara. The reflection of the city lights dances across the glass behind him, making his silhouette look almost unreal. He hears every word. He watches every movement, and though she is afraid of him, she can't ignore that his presence makes her husband's shadow feel weaker. When Yoon-ji finishes wrapping her foot, she moves to check Amara's cheek, her arms, the side of her ribs. Amara flinches when fingers brush an older bruise. Yoon-ji's eyes darken. "How long has he been hurting you?" Amara's voice is barely a whisper. "Too long." The room goes quiet. She expects someone to say, "I'm sorry," in that empty, distant way people do, but no one does. Instead, Ji-won's voice cuts softly through the silence. "What kept you there?" he asks. Amara looks up, startled. "What?" He doesn't move. "Why didn't you leave before tonight?" She laughs, but it sounds more like breaking glass. "Leave? And go where?" "Back home to Africa with no money, no ticket, and a failed marriage my family would never understand. Stay here with no job, no visa, no one to trust. He made sure I depended on him for everything." "You had friends?" Ji-won asks. "One friend," she nods. "From work, but he cut me off from her too." "Work?" he repeats. "I used to work at a small cafe near Itaewon," she says quietly. "Stopped when the bruises got harder to hide." Yoon-ji exhales slowly. Classic control pattern. Isolation, financial dependency, emotional manipulation, violence. Your husband is garbage. Amara gives a small, tired smile. I know. Ji-won's eyes are darker now, not just from the lighting, from something calculating behind them. Your husband is not just an abuser, he says. He's a problem. He works with one of our rival crews. Small, sloppy, but noisy. Men like him think they're untouchable. Rival? She repeats, stomach tightening. That's why you can't go back, he says. If they find out you were in my car, in my penthouse, in my care, you become a target. Not just for your husband, but for them. Her heart sinks. So, I escaped one prison, she whispers, and walked into another. Yoonji opens her mouth to protest, but Ji-won speaks first. This is not a prison, he says quietly. It's a fortress. He walks closer, stopping just in front of her, his shadow falling over her. From tonight, he continues, his voice low and steady, you are under my protection. The words should comfort her, but instead, they scare her, because protection in the Seoul Mafia world always costs something. Yoonji eventually guides Amara to a small guest room down the hall. It's simple but warm, with soft lights, clean sheets, and a window that looks over the river. Try to sleep, Yoonji says gently. Your body needs rest after this kind of trauma. If you wake up with nightmares, that's normal, okay? Amara nods, clutching the blanket. Yoonji squeezes her shoulder. You're not alone anymore, Amara. Even if you don't trust us yet, we're not him. When she leaves, Amara lies down, but sleep does not come easily. Every time she closes her eyes, she sees her husband's raised hand, the black SUV, the prince's fingers around his throat. Those eyes, the way he said, touch her again like a death sentence. Ours passe. Rain taps against the glass. The city hums softly below. At some point, there's a soft knock on the door. She stiffens. Her heart spikes. Amara? It's Yaewon's voice. She sits up, fingers tightening on the blanket. Yes? Can I come in? She hesitates. Her brain says no. Her survival screams no. But her situation has erased the luxury of simple choices. Okay, she says softly. The door opens slowly. He steps in, no coat now, just a black shirt, sleeves rolled up, faint scars visible on his forearms. His presence fills the small room instantly. He doesn't come too close. He stays near the door, leaning lightly against the frame. I wanted to check if the pain is manageable, he says. Yoon-ji said it would be worse at night. It hurts, she admits. But I've survived worse. Something flickers in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or recognition. That's not something to be proud of. She smiles weakly. It's the only medal I have. They fall into a strange silence. Her gaze drifts to the city lights behind him. Do you always live this high up? It's easier to watch the city from above, he replies, and harder for bullets to reach. She swallows. Is that how you live? Always thinking about bullets? He looks at her, and for the first time, he doesn't look like a prince or a predator. He just looks tired. In my world, he says slowly, if you forget that death is always near, it finds you faster. A chill runs down her spine. You're not safe because I'm a good man, Amara, he continues, voice low. You're safe because I'm a dangerous one. Her chest tightens. Fear, curiosity, something else she doesn't want to name. Why me, she whispers. There are so many women suffering, so many people hurting. Why did you stop your black car for me? His eyes soften, just a fraction. Because I remember what it feels like to be trapped in a house that smells like fear, he says quietly. And I remember wishing someone, anyone, would kick open the door. Her breath catches. You? He straightens, pulling back slightly, as if he has already said too much. Sleep, he says instead. Tomorrow, we'll talk about what happens next. Before she can respond, he steps back into the hallway. Just before he closes the door, she speaks quickly, words slipping out without her permission. I'm scared of you. The words hang in the air between them. He pauses. Slowly, he looks back at her. His voice is almost a whisper. Good. He holds her gaze a second longer. Fear keeps you alive in my world, he adds. Trust gets you killed. The door closes. She lies back down, heart racing. He saved her from her abusive husband, and yet, somehow, she fears him even more. End of part 1. We've covered violent escape, dangerous rescue, early emotional breakdown seeds, and the beginning of forced protection. Morning breaks slowly over Seoul. Grey light filters in through the large window, washing the city in a cold, metallic hue. The rain has softened, leaving the glass streaked and the world outside damp and quiet. Amara wakes up with a sharp inhale. For a terrifying second, she doesn't know where she is. Her eyes dart around. Unfamiliar ceiling, unfamiliar bed, unfamiliar room. Then her foot throbs and memory crashes back. The rain, the running, the grip on her wrist, the black SUV, the Korean Mafia Prince holding her husband against the wall. She presses a hand to her chest, trying to ground herself. Someone has left clothes on the chair near the bed, a soft, oversized sweatshirt, comfortable leggings, and socks. Simple, thoughtful, no sharp colors, no tight fabric. Yoonji, she guesses. She cleans up in the attached bathroom, avoiding the mirror at first. When she finally looks, she sees the bruise on her cheek darkening, the thin cut on her lip, the faint old yellow marks near her ribs. Bruises from different days, different fights, different apologies that never meant anything. She sighs. "This is not my end," she whispers to the reflection. "You didn't come this far to stay broken." When she steps out of the room, the penthouse feels less terrifying and more strategic, like a different kind of battlefield. The living area is empty, but she hears voices down the hall. She follows the sound carefully, limping slightly. The voices lead her to what looks like a large office or control room. Multiple screens line one wall, showing camera feeds from various parts of the city streets, alleys, docks, busy intersections. A digital map glows faintly with tracked points blinking in red and blue. Ji-won stands in front of the main screen, wearing a fresh black shirt, his expression calm but intense. The underboss from last night stands beside him, arms folded, tension carved into his shoulders. "He ran straight back to their hideout," the underboss says. "We tracked him through 3 cameras in Mapo and 1 near the river bridge. He's angry, Hyung, drunk, loud, talking about how he'll take his wife back and make her pay. Ji-won's your titans. Did he mention my name?" he asks. "Not directly," the underboss replies. "But he kept shouting about some bastard in a black car. Their boss will connect it soon." "Let them," Ji-won says coolly. "Our name has been too quiet lately." The underboss frowns. "Appa wants peace right now. You know that. He doesn't want you starting unnecessary fires." Ji-won's tone doesn't change. "I don't start fires, I finish what they ignite." The underboss opens his mouth to argue, then notices Amara standing at the doorway. His eyes narrow, suspicion sharpening. She shouldn't be hearing this. She instinctively takes a step back. Ji-won turns, following the underboss's gaze until his eyes land on her. For a moment, their gazes lock. Something in his expression softens. "Barely. It doesn't matter," he says. "She's part of it now." Her heart stutters at his choice of words. "Come," he says, nodding toward the table. She walks in carefully, aware of the underboss watching her like she might explode or betray them at any second. She feels small under that gaze, but she keeps her chin lifted. "What's happening?" she asks quietly. Ji-won nods toward the screens. One of them shows a blurry image of her husband stumbling into a building, shouting, gesturing wildly. "Your husband has connections with a small rival group," he explains. "They're not big, but they're loud. Men like to bark when they can't bite. They can still hurt you." The underboss cuts in, eyes hard on Amara. Through her. Amara's stomach knots. "I don't want to cause trouble. You didn't have to bring me here. I could have gone to a shelter, a police station, anywhere else." "And what?" Ji-won's voice sharpens. "File a report in a language you barely speak against a man connected to the Seoul Underworld. Live with a restraining order on paper while he waits for you outside your job. There are rules in this city that the police don't control." His words hit her with painful truth. She looks down, her hands curling. "So what now?" she asks. "What does it mean to be under your protection?" He studies her, choosing his words. "It means you don't step outside this building without my knowledge," he says. It means we move you between safe places if needed. It means my enemies will wonder why I care enough to protect an African woman married to a small-time thug. Her throat tightens. And your father, the Mafia King, what will he say? The underboss snorts. He'll say this is a distraction, as always. Ji-won's eyes darken, but he doesn't respond to that. Instead, he says, my father believes feelings make you weak, attachments make you slow. He built his empire by cutting off anything that made him hesitate. And you? Amara asks softly. He holds her gaze. I'm not him, he says. The room goes quiet for a moment. The underboss clears his throat. Hyung, we need to set some rules with her. She's not one of us. She doesn't understand how dangerous this is. If someone gets to her, they get to you. Ji-won nods slightly. You're right. He turns fully to Amara now, his expression cooling back to that serious, controlled mask. From this moment, he says calmly, you don't talk to anyone outside this apartment without my permission. No phone calls, no texts, no social media. If your husband or his crew are monitoring your accounts, they'll use any sign of life to track you. She swallows. My friend, from the cafe. She'll be worried. We'll handle it, Ji-won says. Yoon-ji can send a message from a random number, something simple. I'm okay, don't look for me. It's not safe for you to keep old connections right now. It hurts. The idea of cutting off the only friend who saw her bruises and silently handed her ice packs behind the counter, but logic forces itself over emotion. I understand, she whispers. Second, he continues, if you feel anything strange, if you notice cars parked outside too long, faces you don't recognize, anything that feels wrong, you tell me, immediately. Trauma makes the mind sensitive. In my world, that sensitivity can save lives. She nods. Third, he finishes, inside this place, you are not a prisoner. You can move freely, cook, shower, use the balcony. But the front door, the elevator, the outside world, that's my decision for now. Amara breathes slowly. Locked doors, she says quietly. Restricted movement. Decisions made for me. Forgive me if it feels familiar. Her tone isn't disrespectful, it's honest. Ji-won's jaw tenses. He steps a little closer, lowering his voice. The difference is, your husband locked doors to control you. I lock them to keep men like him out. She looks up at him, searching his face. Intentions don't always change how it feels, she says. For the first time, he looks almost caught off guard. The underboss mutters under his breath in Korean. She has a sharp tongue. Ji-won ignores him. Instead, he says, then we'll adjust slowly. You tell Yoon-ji what feels too much like a cage. We'll find a balance. Her heart stirs in a strange way. This is still a dangerous protector, a man shaped by violence, a prince of the Seoul underworld. But there is also flexibility. He's not used to dealing with fragile things. He's learning. She nods once. Okay. The day moves slowly. Yoon-ji gives her painkillers and a simple meal. Amara spends some time on the balcony, wrapped in a blanket, watching the river below. The air smells like rain and exhaust. She tells herself she should be focusing on escape routes, backup plans, ways to survive. Instead, her mind keeps replaying small moments with Ji-won, the way he carried her without asking, the way his eyes softened when she spoke of being trapped, the way his jaw clenched at the word husband. It confuses her. Her body reacts before her logic can catch up. Her heart speeds up when he enters the room. Her stomach tightens when his voice drops lower. Her skin heats when their hands accidentally brush when she takes a glass of water from him. This is not love. Not yet. It's not even trust. It's something born from adrenaline and proximity, a dangerous mix of fear and chemistry. Later in the afternoon, she limps past the office again and hears voices. This is a bad idea, the underboss says. You get emotional when it comes to this kind of thing. Remember Busan? Remember that girl at the port? Ji-won's voice is cold. That was different. Really? The underboss scoffs. She looked at you with big, scared eyes, and you turned into a shield. Now, look at this one. An African woman, injured, alone, and suddenly you're risking a war with a rival gang. You think this is about romance? Ji-won snaps quietly. Amara freezes at the doorway, invisible, listening. This is about territory, he continues, about sending a message. No one uses women as punching bags on my streets. If we let this slide, their entire crew thinks we're soft. The underboss doesn't back down. You're lying to yourself, Hyung. There are 100 women suffering in this city. You didn't bring any of them here. You brought her. Silence. Amara's pulse thrums in her ears. Ji-won speaks again, voice softer. She reminds me. He stops. Reminds you of what? The underboss pushes. Nothing. He shuts down, walls slamming back up. Amara steps back before she can be caught, heart aching for reasons she doesn't fully understand. That evening, Eunji convinces her to join them for dinner in the main living area. A simple meal is spread across the table: rice, soup, grilled meat, side dishes. She sits carefully, feeling out of place among men who move like they've spent their lives in fights and negotiations. One of the younger men at the table, clearly not as high-ranking as the underboss, keeps glancing at her with curiosity. "So you're from Africa?" he asks in broken English. She smiles politely. "Yes, from Nigeria." "Wow," he nods. "I've never been out of Korea. Only see Africa in movies. You speak Korean very well." "Not really," she laughs softly. "But I try." He grins. "Still better than my English. I'm Minho, by the way." "Amara." They exchange a small handshake. His palm is warm, his smile genuine. For a moment, she feels normal, like a guest among friends instead of a piece of dark love caught between Seoul Mafia politics. Ji-won watches from the other end of the table. He doesn't join the conversation, but his eyes stay on her. His chopsticks move mechanically, his food untouched. When Minho cracks a light joke and Amara laughs a small, surprised laugh she hasn't heard from herself in months, Ji-won's jaw tightens. His gaze sharpens, a heat that is not gentle. When Minho reaches for the kimchi near her hand and their fingers brush, Amara feels a strange awareness, not of Minho, of the way Ji-won's eyes darken instantly. He puts his chopsticks down. "Minho," he says calmly. The room goes a little quiet. Minho looks up. "Naehyung?" "Eat," Ji-won says. "Not flirt." Minho's eyes widen. "What?" "I'm not, I was just..." Ji-won doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. "You're staring," he continues. "You're asking questions. You're touching her hand like you forgot something." He leans back slightly, his posture relaxed, but his tone sharp enough to cut the air. "Did you forget where she is? Did you forget why she's here?" he asks. "You think this is some kind of cafe?" Amara feels heat rise to her face. Minho flushes. "Hyung, I didn't mean..." "Then think," Ji-won says quietly. "Or I'll help you remember." Silence drops. Amara swallows, feeling tension wrap around the room like smoke. She speaks up softly. "He didn't do anything wrong. He was just being kind. Please, don't be angry at him." Ji-won's eyes flick to her. They lock with hers in a clash of emotion, jealousy, fear, confusion, something deeper. He stands. "I'm not angry," he says, though the air around him feels charged. "I'm reminding my men that this is not a game. You are not a toy in a romance story. You are leverage. You are danger. You are a target. The more attention they give you, the more attention our enemies will give too." His words are harsh, but buried underneath is something else. Amara holds his gaze. "If I'm such a risk," she says quietly, "why not throw me back to the wolves?" Everyone at the table stiffens. The underboss mutters, "She really doesn't fear dying, huh?" Ji-won steps closer to her side of the table, his eyes never leaving hers. "Because," he says, voice low, "I'm already involved. You ran into my street, into my headlights, into my choice. That means your story is now tied to mine whether I like it or not." Her heart hammers. "How is that fair?" she whispers. "It's not," he answers. "The Seoul underworld is not fair, Amara. It's just honest." The room is suffocating. Eunji stands abruptly, breaking the tension. "Okay, enough macho nonsense. Minho, you're fine. Just don't be stupid. Ji-won, sit down or leave before your ego eats the whole meal." He looks at her once more, then walks away, heading toward the balcony. Amara watches his back as he goes. That strange pull inside her tightens. He is wrong for her. He is dangerous. He is everything her therapist back home would have warned her about. If she had ever been allowed to see a therapist, And yet, as she watches him stand alone against the night sky, smoking quietly, shoulders heavy with invisible battles, she feels something shifting. The line between fear and fascination blurs, between protector and threat, between mafia danger and romantic suspense, between enemy and something dangerously close to home. Later that night, Amara can't sleep again. Flashbacks crawl into her head, replaying old scenes. Her husband's voice slamming against walls, broken plates, apologies wrapped in expensive gifts, people saying, "He seems like such a nice guy," when he smiled in public. Her breathing grows shallow. She gets up and limps toward the kitchen to get water. She doesn't expect anyone to be there, but when she turns the corner, she sees Ji-won leaning against the counter, a glass in his hand, staring at nothing. He looks different in this dim light. Less like a Korean Mafia Prince, more like a man who hasn't slept properly in years. She pauses. "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's fine," he says. "Can't sleep?" She shakes her head. "Nightmares. Your world outside, my world inside. They don't let me rest." He nods, slowly. "Sit." She sits on a stool across from him. For a while, they just listen to the hum of the fridge and the distant traffic. "You flinch when people move too fast near you," he says quietly, "even when it's just Yoonji or Minho." She looks down. "I'm trying not to." "Don't try not to," he says. "Your body remembers what your pride tries to forget. That's how trauma works." She looks up, surprised at his understanding. He meets her gaze. "I know the signs. I grew up around them." "Your father?" she asks cautiously. His jaw tightens. "My father believes hitting makes men stronger," he says. "He hit his sons. He hit his men. He never hit my mother, not with his hands. But words can be heavier than fists." Her chest aches. "I used to think," he continues, voice lower, "that if I became strong enough, no one would ever make me feel small again. So I learned to fight, to shoot, to hurt first. They called me ruthless, efficient, a future king of the Seoul Underworld." He takes a sip from his glass. "But there's something ugly about becoming the kind of monster that once scared you," he whispers. She leans forward slightly. "Is that what you think you are? A monster?" He smirks faintly. "Depends who you ask. My father says I'm too soft. My enemies say I'm too cruel. My men say I'm too unpredictable. I don't really care what they say." "What do you say?" She pushes gently. He looks at her, really looks. "I say," he hesitates, then exhales. "I say I'm someone who doesn't know how to love without breaking things." Her heart trips. He continues. "The first girl who ever looked at me like I was human got killed because she was close to me. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong bullet. That's why the underboss keeps warning you about being near me." "I'm sorry," she whispers. "It was a long time ago." He lies. "Did you love her?" Ahmad asks. He doesn't answer, not with words. The pain in his eyes is enough. Silence settles again, but this time it's heavier, more intimate. "I shouldn't be here," Amara says quietly. "Not in your life, not in your war." "You're not in my war," he argues softly. "You're in your own. I'm just another battlefield you pass through." She smiles sadly. "You really think this is passing through?" He looks at her hand, resting on the counter. Slowly, he reaches out. He doesn't grab it, doesn't hold it. He just lets his fingers rest near hers, close enough that she can feel his warmth, not close enough to trap her. "In another world," he says quietly, "you would have lived a simple life. Cafe, friends, family visits, no Korean Mafia Prince, no rival gangs, no safe houses." "In another world," she replies, voice barely audible, "I would have left at the first sign of a raised hand." He gives a small, pained smile. "We don't live in that world, Amara." For the first time, she doesn't flinch when he moves. She studies the tension in his shoulders, the faint tremble in his hand when he thinks she's not looking. This man who controls entire districts, who can have people erased from the city's memory, is afraid of one thing: losing someone he dared to care about. They sit like that for a while. Two broken souls who accidentally collided in the middle of a storm. When they finally part, neither of them says goodbye, but something invisible has shifted between them. The fear is still there. So is the chemistry. underneath both, something slower is growing. Not trust, not yet, but the first step toward it. Days pass, not many, just enough for patterns to form. Amara wakes, eats, watches the river. Ji-won works, disappears for meetings, returns at odd hours with a heavier expression. Yoon-ji checks on Amara's progress. Min-ho keeps a careful distance now, teasing less, respecting more. The bruise on her face begins to fade, but inside, she still feels like cracked glass. Meanwhile, the Seoul underworld is not sleeping. Ji-won's men track her husband and his crew through cameras. Informants, whispers in bars. The rival gang grows angrier each day, insulted that one of their men was humiliated on the street by the Mafia Prince. They're planning something. The underboss warns one evening, tapping the map. Their boss sent some of his guys near our docks, then near our club in Itaewon. They're testing our response time. They want me to react, Ji-won says. They want a war. Appa will lose his mind if you start one, the underboss mutters. Ji-won's eyes grow colder. I won't start anything, but I won't let them touch what's mine either. What's ours? The underboss corrects. Ji-won doesn't answer. One night, things almost feel normal. Yoon-ji convinces Ji-won to let Amara join them on the rooftop for fresh air. The rooftop is enclosed by glass barriers, lined with soft lights, and a few plants fighting the city smog. Seoul glows beneath them. Bridges stretch across the river like strings of gold. Cars move like drops of light. The air is cooler up here, cleaner. Amara leans against the barrier, gazing down. From up here, it almost looks peaceful. It never is, Ji-won says, standing beside her. But I like to pretend sometimes. She steals a glance at him. The wind plays with his hair. His profile is sharp against the dark sky. In moments like this, he doesn't look like a mafia heir. He just looks like a man trying to breathe above the weight of his own legacy. Do you ever wish you could leave? She asks suddenly. Leave what? This. She gestures at the city. The Seoul underworld. The constant risk. The blood. He's quiet for a long moment. My family built this empire, he says finally. Every building, every street, every deal. My father bled for it. My brother died for it. I'm the last one left who can hold it together. You have a brother? She asks softly. Had, he corrects. He wanted out, wanted a simple life. My father called him weak. The rivals called him an opportunity. They shot him in front of a restaurant he loved. Her chest tightens. I went to his killer's house. Ji-won continues, voice calm, almost detached. Sat down at his table, ate his food. Then I made sure he never saw another sunrise. Amara doesn't flinch away from this truth. Do you regret it? She asks. He looks down at his hands. I regret that my brother isn't here to regret his own choices, he says. As for what I did, no, that's the difference between me and a normal man. A dangerous protector doesn't have the luxury of clean hands. The wind wraps around them. Your husband, he adds quietly. He's not just a bad man, he's a coward. He hurts those who can't hurt him back. Men like that don't stop unless something bigger breaks them. Something like you? She asks. He glances at her. Exactly. Their eyes meet. The silence between them stretches, thick with unspoken things. Her heart beats faster. She hates that it does. Hates that after all the trauma, her body has found a new kind of danger to respond to. He saved you from your abusive husband. A small voice inside her whispers. But what if he destroys you in a different way? She drops her gaze first. I don't know how to live without fear, she admits. He turns to her fully now. Then start by being afraid of the right things. What do you mean? Be afraid of men who smile when they hurt you, he says. Be afraid of hands that apologize and then strike again. Be afraid of promises without consistent actions. Don't be afraid of someone just because people call him a monster. Look at what he does when you're weakest. Her throat tightens. What if what he does scares me too? She whispers. He steps closer, slowly, giving her time to pull back if she wants. She doesn't. Then tell him, he says softly. If you're afraid of me, say it to my face. If you think I'm crossing your lines, tell me. Don't stay silent like you did with him. Tears burn behind her eyes. I don't want to be afraid of you, she admits. He breathes out, almost in relief. Good, he murmurs, Because I'm trying very hard to be the kind of dangerous that keeps you alive, not the kind that breaks you more. The confession hangs between them, more vulnerable than any sweet line in a drama. She feels her defenses crack. "Ji-won," she whispers. He looks at her lips for a second too long. Then, at her eyes again. His voice is rough when he speaks. "Go inside. It's getting cold." He steps back. It's the smallest rejection, the gentlest restraint. And somehow, it makes her trust him a fraction more. The attack happens 2 nights later. It starts with a cut in the power. One moment, the penthouse glows with soft lights, quiet jazz playing from hidden speakers. The next, everything goes dark. Amara jolts awake in her bed, heart racing. She hears Yoonji's voice down the hall. "What the? Did someone forget to?" Then another sound. Bang. Not a gunshot. A door, forced open. Her body recognizes danger before her mind fully does. Trauma response. Her breath quickens. Her palms sweat. She remembers Ji-won's words. "If anything feels wrong, tell me immediately." She grabs for the bedside lamp. It doesn't turn on. Panic spikes. Footsteps echo in the hallway. Not calm, organized footsteps like Ji-won's men. Rushed, aggressive, foreign. She limps out of her room, heart pounding in her throat. "Yoon-ji?" she calls softly. "Stay in your room." Yoonji's voice shouts from somewhere down the hall. "Amara, lock your..." Her sentence is cut off by a sharp cry. Amara freezes. Shadows move in the dark, lit only by the faint glow of the city through the windows. She sees shapes, 2, 3, 4 men in dark clothes, moving too confidently for strangers. Her stomach drops. "They found us." A hand clamps over her mouth from behind. She panics instantly, limbs thrashing. A man's arm wraps around her waist, dragging her backward. "Got her." A low voice hisses in Korean. "Boss said bring her alive." A familiar voice sneers from the living area. Of course he did. He wants to teach her what happens when a wife runs to another man. Her blood runs cold. Her husband. He steps into view, illuminated by the city lights, like a demon dressed in human clothes. He looks different, more desperate, more unstable. Eyes bloodshot, lips pulled back in a twisted grin. "Jagia," he mocks. "You thought I wouldn't find you?" She tries to bite the hand over her mouth. The man holding her curses, tightening his grip. The front door hangs half-broken on its hinges. The underboss lies near it, groaning, blood on his temple. Yoonji is on the floor nearby, clutching her arm, eyes blazing with anger. "You idiots broke my arm," she snarls. "Do you have any idea who you're messing with?" One of the intruders kicks her lightly. "Shut up, Nuna." Her husband walks closer to Amara, his shadow long, his voice dripping venom. "You embarrassed me," he hisses. "Ran into some gangster's car like a cheap street girl. Did you think he would save you? Did you think you were special?" Her mind screams with terror. "Where is Ji-won?" A shot suddenly rings out loud, deafening. Glass shatters, everyone freezes. Ji-won stands at the far end of the room, near the balcony, gun in hand, eyes darker than she has ever seen. There's broken glass near his feet, where he must have entered from another balcony or emergency route. He looks like a storm given human form. He doesn't look at anyone else, just her. The man holding her stiffens. "Nobody moves," Ji-won says. His voice is calm, but something in it is unhinged. "You picked the wrong house." Her husband laughs shakily. "You think you scare me? You're just a spoiled prince playing mafia with your daddy's money." "Maybe," Ji-won says, "but you made one mistake I can't ignore." "And what's that?" Her husband spits. "You touched what I decided to protect." The room chills. One of the rival men presses something cold against her neck. A knife. "Put the gun down," the man snarls. Or the African woman gets a new smile. Amara squeezes her eyes shut, tears burning. Ji-won's gaze flicks to the blade, then back to her eyes. "Breathe," he tells her quietly. "It's insane. Everything is insane." But she obeys. One shaky inhale, one shaky exhale. "I've got men at your back entrance, you know." Her husband smirks. "You step closer, we blow this entire building sky high. Your father won't even have a body to bury." "Appa will be relieved," Ji-won says dryly. "Less trouble to manage." Her husband hesitates, thrown off by his lack of fear. Here's what's going to happen. Ji-won continues, voice low. You will let her go. You will walk out of this building, and you will never come near my streets again. The men laugh. Amara feels anger mix with her fear. Or what? Her husband taunts. You'll shoot us? Kill us? In front of her? You think she'll still see you as a dangerous protector then? Or just another monster? Ji-won's jaw clenches. I don't care how she sees me, he says quietly. I just care that she's alive to decide. Before anyone can respond, a gunshot explodes from the hallway. One of the rival men drops, screaming, clutching his leg. The underboss, bleeding but very much alive, leans against the wall with a gun, panting. You really thought you could take our prince with 4 men? He grits out. Amateurs. Chaos erupts. The man holding Amara jerks, distracted. She seizes the chance, slamming her heel down on his foot. He yells, grip loosening for half a second. It's enough. She twists, ducking, the knife grazing her collarbone but missing her throat. Pain lances across her skin. Ji-won fires. The man behind her falls. Her husband lunges toward her, grabbing for her arm. You're coming with... He doesn't finish. Ji-won reaches him in 3 furious strides, gun forgotten, hands closing around his throat exactly as he had promised that first night. The difference now? He is no longer calm. His face is raw with rage. You chased her through my streets, he snarls. You broke into my home, you threatened my people, and you thought I'd let you walk away. Her husband claws at his hands, face turning red. Amara stands a few feet away, chest heaving, watching. She should stop this. She should say no killing, like she did before. She should beg for mercy. But something in her has changed. She remembers every bruise, every insult, every night she cried into a pillow while he snored beside her, every sorry, followed by, you made me do it. Her fists clench. I begged you, she whispers, more to herself than anyone else. I begged you to stop. You never did. Ji-won hears her. His grip tightens. You like hurting women? He hisses to her husband. Try hurting me. The husband's movements weaken. Ji-won's fingers tense for the final push. Ji-won. Amara's voice cuts through the room. He freezes. His eyes, wild and dark, flick to her. Her chest rises and falls rapidly. She is bleeding, shaking, terrified, but her voice is clear. Don't become him, she says. The words land like a blow. His hands tremble. If you kill him now, she continues, tears spilling over, I'll always see his face in yours. Every time you touch me, I'll remember this moment. I know he deserves it. I know he's evil, but if you do this because of me, I'll never be able to separate you from this night. Silence crashes over them. The underboss watches, stunned. Yoon-ji holds her broken arm, eyes wide. The rival man on the floor winces, trying not to move. Ji-won looks at her husband, then at Amara. Then, with a slow, painful effort, he releases his grip. The husband collapses, gasping. Ji-won steps back, chest heaving, fists clenched. He looks at the underboss. Get them out of my sight. How? The underboss asks. Alive, Ji-won says through gritted teeth. For now. The underboss smirks darkly. I'll make sure they remember tonight, for the rest of their very short lives. He drags the husband and the wounded man out, his expression promising a kind of justice Amara doesn't want to imagine. Yoon-ji rushes to Amara, checking her collarbone. You're bleeding, but it's shallow. You'll live. Sit down before you fall. Amara's legs finally give up. She drops onto the couch, adrenaline crashing. Ji-won stands in the middle of the chaos, his entire body vibrating with restrained violence. Then he walks to her, slowly, deliberately. He stops in front of her, then kneels, not like a man begging, like a man grounding himself. His hand, still shaking slightly, reaches out. May I? He asks. She looks at his fingers, so gentle now, so deadly minutes ago. Yes, she whispers. He touches her face softly, wiping away a streak of blood that isn't hers. His thumb brushes her cheek, his eyes searching for something only he understands. Are you okay? He asks. She laughs, a broken little sound. I've been better. He huffs out something like a half laugh, half sigh. You stopped me, he says quietly. No one stops me when I'm like that. I didn't stop you, she replies. I reminded you who you're trying to be. His eyes burn. For someone who's afraid of me, he murmurs. You have a dangerous way of touching my heart. Her breath stutters. Their faces are close now. Too close. She can feel his breath, see the flecks of darker brown in his eyes, smell the faint scent of smoke and rain, and something uniquely him. This is wrong, she whispers. Maybe. He agrees. But I don't feel safe anywhere else, she admits. His hand slides gently to the back of her neck, not pressing, just resting there. An anchor. Then stay, he says softly. Her heart races. Ji-won, he swallows. His voice drops to something fragile and fierce. I almost lost you tonight, he confesses. For a moment, when I didn't hear you answer, I felt something I haven't felt since my brother died. Empty, like the world could go on without me and I wouldn't care. Tears blur her vision. You don't even know me that well, she whispers. I know enough, he says. I know the way you still say please even when you're hurt. I know the way you defend men like Min-ho even when you're scared. I know the way you're more worried about me becoming a monster than you are about your own fear. His thumb brushes away a tear. I know that when you smiled at the rooftop, he adds, this place finally felt less like a grave and more like something I could survive. Her chest aches. This is obsession, she says softly. Dependence, trauma bonding. Every psychologist on YouTube would diagnose us. He gives a small, pained smile. Good thing this isn't YouTube then. She laughs through her tears. Silence settles again. But it feels different now, like a bridge. His voice is a whisper when he continues. Amara, he says, listen carefully. She does. I saved you once, he says slowly, each word weighted. In the street, in the rain. That was a choice I made without thinking. But tonight, when I stopped my hands because you asked me to, that was different. How? She breathes. That was me choosing your voice over my rage, he answers. And that is much more dangerous. He takes her trembling hand gently, his thumb tracing slow circles on her skin. I saved you once, he repeats, eyes locked onto hers, but now I can't let you go. Her heart stops. His confession hangs in the air, thick with promise and threat. I don't know how to love softly, he continues, voice rough. I don't know how to protect without scaring people. I don't know how to want someone without wanting to destroy everything that tries to take them away. But I know this. He leans in, forehead almost touching hers. Your husband feared losing control, he whispers. But I'm terrified of losing you. Tears spill down her cheeks. She doesn't know if this is healthy. She doesn't know if their future is safe. She doesn't know if loving a Korean Mafia Prince can ever end without scars. But she knows one thing. For the first time in a long time, her heart isn't just afraid. It's alive. Her fingers curl into his shirt, pulling him just a little closer. I don't trust the world, she whispers, but I'm starting to trust what I feel when I'm with you. That scares me more than anything. Good, he breathes. Fear keeps us honest. Their lips don't meet, not yet. He presses the softest, briefest kiss to her forehead instead. A promise, a warning, a beginning. Outside, the Seoul underworld shifts. Rival gangs whisper. The Mafia King wonders what his heir is risking everything for. Bridges glow against dark water, reflecting a city that never sleeps. Inside the penthouse, an African woman and a Korean Mafia Prince sit in the middle of broken glass and spilled blood, holding on to the one thing neither of them thought they deserved. A chance at healing, wrapped in forbidden romance, jealousy, obsession, and dark love. As the night deepens, the underboss returns from disposing of the rivals. He pauses at the doorway, watching Ji-won and Amara together. He pulls out his phone and types a message. Upper. It's worse than we thought. He's not just protecting her. He's changing because of her. The reply comes quickly. Bring him to me. Alone. Tomorrow. The underboss looks up, gaze flicking to the two figures on the couch. He mutters to himself, love in this world doesn't end with happily ever after. It ends with war. Fade out.